Games, games, and more games. Xbox Game Pass is getting more of them every single month, new and old. So here's a look at some of the best ones to have joined the service's growing library. Who knows, maybe you'll discover your next favorite game. The acclaimed CRPG series Shadowrun has finally made its way to consoles, and now has a home on Game Pass. Including the entire trilogy, Shadowrun Returns, Shadowrun Dragonfall Director's Cut, and Shadowrun Hong Kong Extended Edition. Shadowrun comes from the 1989 science fantasy tabletop role-playing game set in a future world where magic, fantasy, and cybernetic creatures live and coexist. At its core, it's cyberpunk meets urban fantasy, with a tinge of crime and detective fiction sprinkled throughout. Each game in the series stays true to its RPG roots, with branching narratives and characters aplenty to meet, all of which is accompanied with turn-based tactical combat filled with loads of weapons and magical spells at your disposal. CRPGs are few and far between on consoles, and thankfully, they redesigned the entire UI to be more console-friendly. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Shredder's Revenge is a pizza-infused, nostalgic hell of a time. But pitch-perfect 90s visuals and aesthetics aside, this game holds its own in an era where beat-em-ups aren't in the mainstream as much. Shredder's Revenge feels like it was ripped from the same days as the TMNT arcade game and Turtles in Time, and it feels so good to just kick back, pull out some twin size, and start swinging. Shredder's Revenge features multiplayer up to 6 players, with the ability to play as April O'Neil, Splinter, and the unlockable Casey Jones. Each character has their own attributes and moves, which isn't novel by any means, but I was surprised how differently each character felt and that there is a smidge of depth beyond just mashing buttons and jumping. It also features a totally killer soundtrack. It has 2 distinct modes, a basic story mode with checkpoints so you can complete the game at your own pace, or a classic mode, where you're given a set amount of lives and you have to complete it in one sitting, like the olden days. In a sea of battle royales where you drop from the sky and go guns blazing, Naraka Bladepoint is a refreshing and well-needed change of pace. Inspired by the legends of the Far East, Naraka Bladepoint is a mythical 60-player PvP battle royale with emphasis on martial-inspired melee combat, magical abilities, fantastical mobility, with just a sprinkle of some ranged weapons. While some BRs can be a little slower and methodical, Naraka leans into action by giving players items like grappling hooks to zip around the environment or pull yourself into the fight. You can drop in with a 3-player team and use powers and abilities to support one another, or there's, of course, a solo mode to truly test your skills in. There's currently 10 heroes to choose from, with the latest one being added earlier this year. Shadowrun wasn't the only trilogy to find its way on Game Pass recently. The second Ninja Gaiden trilogy is also here, all wrapped up in the Master Collection. This is the definitive collection of each installment, including extra content like DLC, costumes, game modes, and other playable characters. These are some fast-paced, controller-crunching action games where speed and getting into that flow state is absolutely key. This trilogy was set in the same universe as Dead or Alive, so prepare to see a reoccurring cast of characters from that beloved fighting game. If you're a Devil May Cry or Bayonetta fan and haven't checked these out yet, then consider giving one of these a download. Thankfully, you can just download them individually if you're just looking to play one of them, so that's pretty sweet. This is a very ninja-themed Game Pass list, isn't it? Omori is a cool, stylized, hand-drawn RPG in the vein of the Mother series. It's fantastical and whimsy, with terrifying creatures. Despite its whimsy aesthetics, however, the game tackles some heavy themes, including depression, anxiety, and suicide, so just keep that in mind. Omori also does a great job of shrouding itself with mystique. The game's description is quite cryptic and mysterious, mentioning that you'll be navigating a mundane world to uncover a forgotten past, alluding that the path you choose on your adventure can determine your fate and the fate of others. You'll be grouping up with characters, traveling across vibrant worlds filled with plenty of personalities. But it doesn't stop there, as you'll be hurled into a nightmarish, surrealistic realm with much darker foes and themes to face. The Crusader Kings franchise sees its debut on consoles with Crusader Kings 3. It's a grand strategy role-playing video game set in the Middle Ages that'll have you determine your noble house's legacy. It's a sprawling and simulated medieval world filled with historical characters that can be romanced, betrayed, executed, or maybe even just charmed a little. All in the process of claiming, conquering, and ruling thousands of countries, kingdoms, and empires. And oh, does the game get in depth, including the ability to even design your own faith. It's a game that simulates every little decision you make into something that is wholly realized. And even when you make a choice with a grave consequence, failure doesn't ever quite feel like the end. There's plenty of experimentation and replayability to have with this, especially if you've ever fantasized about ruling in medieval times. Thankfully, the game's very dense UI was redesigned for controllers, and Maui Wowie, they managed to pull it off. Chorus is a bombastic space shooting dogfighting action adventure where you play as Nara, a living weapon on a quest to take down the dark cult that made her. Considering she was created by a dark cult, Nara also has to face her haunted past in a journey of redemption. You'll fly through sprawling space stations, bizarre planes of existence, and thrust into zero-G dogfights in the midst of frenetic, fast-paced action. All the while upgrading your ship with an array of different weapons and other mind-bending abilities, including teleportation and telekinesis. So this isn't just your regular old space flying shooting because you got like brain powers and stuff. It may be from 2017, but there's no excuse to sleep on one of the most ambitious entries in the Assassin's Creed franchise. Assassin's Creed Origins is the first one to make a major shift in the series and introduce RPG elements like leveling and skill trees, a decision that has remained a mainstay in the two preceding installments. It's also set in ancient Egypt, where players can parkour their way around right upside a pyramid if you wanted. Given it was the first RPG in the series, Origins instilled a heavy emphasis on side quests as well as leveling systems. And given its name, Origins, it serves as an origin story for the Hidden Ones, the forerunners to the Assassin Brotherhood. Alright, bim bam boom, there you go. Hopefully something on this list tickles your fancy, and if not, there's a bunch of ninja stuff on it, like Ninja Turtles and Ninja Gaiden, and the Naraka Blade Point has ninjas. So yeah, good time to like ninjas if you're a Game Pass subscriber. We make these videos monthly, so if there's a specific game you love on Game Pass, make sure to drop in the comments below in case we haven't mentioned it yet, or, just to share it with others. And if you happen to check out one of these games, let us know. As always, I like to try and challenge folk to pick a game they normally wouldn't try, because why not? That's the beauty of these services, to just try and taste stuff, like Kentucky Route Zero. Give it a shot, you never know. Alright kids, be well, till next time, see you later.